I am Trash Robot, and I'm going to show you how this trash magic nonsense works. This is all very much a work in progress, but here we go. So, southbroadway.art is a domain purchased by my friend, the artist Mar, who has a lot of involvement in the physical location of South Broadway. And this is the first thing that we're trying to do with this. It's very simple. This idea of mapping domain names that are not ending in .com to physical places. So I also have southbroadway.net. I have southplatte.net, the South Platte River being a river in Denver. And there's lots and lots of things like that. Some different people in different parts of the country who've been involved with this, they get domains. So South Broadway, if you're in Denver, Broadway is a very, 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 very long, mostly straight street that becomes South Broadway, I think around 1st Avenue or something like that. So, what is all this about? What this is an exact copy. So first of all, if I go to like southplatte.net, it's kind of the same thing. If I go to southbroadway.net, it's kind of the same thing. It's a little different, but it's kind of the same thing. I can go to, romby.xyz. It's a little different, but if we scroll down, it still says Trash Magic Recursive Web. Everything in our system is about replication. It's not, we have a lot of the same files on our computers on the internet. Those of us who exist as part of humanity, we have a lot of the same things. We copy each other all the time, but we're obsessed with owning things and with having these private files. I have a private file, you have a private file. We're exploring a different paradigm here. So let's go back to South Broadway, broadway.art. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down, and what we see here is a bunch of links. There's a link to Fork. I'll get to that later. There's a link to Trash Magic. Okay, well, let me back up the truck a little bit. What is all this about? Everything we do has a purpose. The purpose of Trash Magic is to create a civilization of free things entirely built from trash. We will build things from trash, share them freely, share how to build them with others so that they can replicate. We call this replication first person of the know-how and desire to make things magic. The recursive web is made of worlds and quests. You construct, replicate, and destroy worlds and quests to build trash magic. So that's what this is all about. Our purpose in building this network, and I'm using network to refer to, in many ways, just a network of people, a social network of people talking to people, but also of places. People first, then places, then physical objects in those places, and then the tech stuff. And then these web pages are hosted on servers. And so the idea, again, we're trying to make everything from trash. So there's all this other stuff I'm going to talk about in a minute about other things we're going to make from trash. But we're trying to make the web service from trash. So ideally what we're going to do is have things called trash dumps. My room is a trash dump. I live in a bedroom filled with trash. I got shopping carts. I got piles of cardboard boxes. I've got sticks I found down by the creek and old broken keyboards and piles of clothing trash I found. I got lots of trash. But I also have a lot of computer trash. So you can take one piece of computer trash, use that to direct all of the web traffic that comes into your home internet connection. And if everybody's going to relatively small web pages and not spending that much time on them, then it doesn't really use up that much bandwidth to host lots of these. So all right, let's get started. southbroadway.art. What are we going to do? Well, this is where you're going to start to see how my system differs from any remotely normal computer system, because I haven't logged into anything, and if I just click on the code editor, this is a code editor. This is the entire system, actually. This is the system code editor. It's got links to various HTML files. I'm not going to mess with that right now. I'm going to go back to the web page editor, which is a very slightly different code editor. So this is a slightly more user-friendly code interface. And I'm in the web browser, right? Everything is in a web browser. I haven't logged in. There's no passwords. There's no nothing. You can see whenever I write a program, I always have my little spiel here about trash magic. Everything is physical. Everything is fractal. Everything is recursive. No money, no mining, no property. Look at the fungi. Look at the insects. Language of the mind versus reality. Everything is public domain. I'll talk about all this. I talk about this on my podcast, but I'm trying to stay on focus a little bit. So what I'm looking at right here is the file index.html. This is the file that you load when you go to southbroadway.art. So if I go down here and say p, hello, here is a paragraph, and then I go back home, I do Control R. So sometimes, web browsers don't, when you go back to a page that's changed, sometimes you have to do Control R. But there it is. Hello, this is a paragraph. What? World writable. Think about this like a dry erase board or a chalkboard. You walk past a chalkboard in the hallway in a school, and somebody might write "do not erase" and put something up there, and then maybe people erase it, maybe they don't, maybe they write over it, maybe they don't. But it's understood. There are certain social norms around it, and it's all understood that worst case scenario, somebody erases it by accident, or somebody in the middle of the night who's cleaning the school just erases it because, who cares? It doesn't matter. You can just erase things, and that's okay. It's okay to have media of communication where nothing is permanent. And I think this is an important difference between this and a lot of these like anonymous boards on the internet, is that on anonymous boards, even though there are anonymous boards where users have like some correlation to their IP address or some unique user ID, they're still like, you're still an individual who posts things, and other people can't delete your stuff. So if somebody posts something terrible, as they do on the Chan boards, on the image boards, there's not really anything that you can do about it without having some kind of moderation. Whereas with this, if people screw it all up, if I just start putting garbage characters, I make this complete garbage, and then, somebody, oh my God, what is it? It's actually not really very, that was not very disruptive, but whatever. So I've been doing this for several years now, and it turns out the only people who have the attention span to so-called to do what I'm doing right now, to like hack your website, are people who actually care, who are interested. I've never gotten any negative attention on these. Like I had one page get hacked, but I'm pretty sure it was hacked by a bot, and I was able to unhack it in like literally seconds, because anybody anywhere on the web can fix it just as they can break it. So the first thing I'm going to do is add some links. So all right, I'm going to delete some links also. So like up a level, I don't need that. That's for when you have some hierarchy that we're going to get into later. But I'm going to add a link. So there are 3 kinds of HTML element that we're going to deal with here. So I'm going to give a little bit of background for if people are watching this video who aren't experienced with web development stuff. HTML is the language of the web. It stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Hypertext refers to the property that text has where there are links that connect to things, which we take for granted on the web today, but it was really revolutionary when it came out in the early 90s. So I'm going to make a link. A, which stands for anchor, href equals, quote, https:// southbroadway.art operator. So Mar is the artist who has this. So now I go on here and I click on here. Did I get the... Yes, okay. I remembered it correctly. So all right. So now, I want to go support this person. Okay, I go click on this person and I'm supporting the artist. Let's support the artist on Instagram, on Patreon, on everything. So but I'm going to go back. So now I've linked to that person to the, and I did the same thing. So I'm going to also link to like I might link to ahref equals southbroadway.net or southplatte.net, https southplatte.net, southplatte.net. And so then if I go over to southplatte.net, so now I'm trying to connect different pages. So I go to southplatte.net, which clicks to rombi.xyz, I'll get into that later. there's a lot of ins, a lot of outs, a lot of thoughts rattling on the old dude's head. All right, so I scroll down, and then I'm gonna make another link. I'm gonna say href equals https://southbroadway.art www.southbroadway.art. I'm going to go back here, southbroadway.art. So I'm connecting things. It's all pretty trivial. It's a little weird, right? Like I've got a whole bunch of web pages that are all the same thing, that are on these different domains that have to do with physical spaces, but they're all doing the same thing. Anybody can edit any of them. What is going on? It's all a little bit strange, but there's a reason for it. Because what we're trying to do is build trash magic, and trash magic is physical. So, and it's all so I say these quests. We're going to make quests. So how do I make a quest? All right, web page editor. I'm going to go down, and I'm going to say, all right, H1 South Broadway .art trash magic server quests. All right, so now we're gonna make some quests. So what are quests? Quests are actions. This is about doing stuff. It's about going out and building things. So what are we gonna do? I don't know. Talk to business owners along South Broadway and get them to give us their cardboard and cut that cardboard up to make compost cubes, the elements of the dirt web. So that's a mission. It's not much. This is what I'm talking about bandwidth. How much bandwidth does it take for you to download a few ASCII characters on a little bit of text onto your phone? Not much. There's not much there. But what we're interested in here is the amount of stuff we can get done per unit of bandwidth. So, like, what if I can have some little tiny itty-bitty website that people only go to once every few days that says, go do a thing. But that thing is a big thing, where they run around and do a whole bunch of stuff in the physical world. That's what this is about. And you know, you can write adventures, you can be more creative. I'm not being very creative here, but I'm going to make a link, href equals https://rhombi.xyz/compost cube. All right, so let's take a look at this compost cube, because this is going to be where we start to talk about some real trash magic. The compost cube, oh dear. So, you know, I've been doing this for a little bit, but I still just like go and do stuff kind of at random sometimes. That should not have been an A, that should have been a P. I'm forgetting that HTML. Basic HTML. So now, talk to business owners along South Broadway and get them to give us their cardboard and cut that cardboard up to make compost cubes, the elements of the dirt web. What is a compost cube? What? All right, well, let's... Oh, that didn't work. Rhombi.xyz/... Okay. Compost cube. See, there's a little bit of trial and error. South Broadway.art. All right, so I'm gonna go down here and see what I did wrong with my link. Rhombi, did I spell? Did I spell that wrong? I don't know, man. All right, let's try this again. So we go here, scroll this down. Compost cube! All right, so welcome to the dirt web, it says. Find double thick corrugated cardboard. This is very terse. It's very terse. Find double thick corrugated cardboard and cut out the patterns below with 2 of the 4-fold symmetric panel patterns and 8 of the other one, then cut out. So there's some instructions and there's some layouts. And so, again, this could be a lot more verbose, but the whole idea is try to get it to replicate. I try to find people who are really into dirt and gardening and composting and growing mushrooms and all kinds of things, collecting rocks, collecting art supplies. You can store art supplies in these things, and then get them to make these cubes. So here I've got photographs of the cubes. And this is how this goes together. You take a box cutter and some basic geometry tools and some Elmer's glue, or you can use a laser cutter if you have access to a laser cutter, a CO2 laser cutter. You can use a visible laser, but the CO2 laser is really better for this. My dream is not to use a laser or a box cutter, but to use a punch to make a machine that goes ka-dunk and just stamps these things out. And then also has robotic manipulators made out of cardboard. You can make self-replicating cardboard robots. Ultimately, we want to use the cardboard to build the superstructure for the machines that have these metal stamps that go ka-dunk and make these cardboard. You can see the cardboard pieces. And so the other thing you should notice, in the picture, the objects have QR codes on them. The QR codes link back to here. And then if I scroll down, there it is. There's a QR code. So this QR code says Trash Magic Compost Cube. That QR code is linking back to this page, to rombi.xyz/compostcube. So if you want to copy this, you can scroll up. It's all a little bit tedious, but building an entirely new system of industrial production from scratch that is different from the one we've used for the last several hundred years is going to be it's going to be some work sometimes, but it's pretty fun. I gotta say that it's pretty fun. So you get some cardboard, and you can get cardboard. So again, going back to our quest is to go find people who are willing to give us their cardboard and try to engage them. Say like, hey, give me your cardboard. People love giving. Nobody wants their cardboard. That's why it's trash. Everybody's buying all this stuff on mail order, Amazon, whatever shipping off the internet. They all have all this cardboard. So you get the cardboard. You make cubes. You glue them together. You decorate them appropriately. You put all this information on them. You put the QR code on, and that makes the cubes self-replicating. And then what do? Well, you put dirt in the cubes, and you grow plants in the dirt. And now you have an internet of dirt. You have a network of dirt. It's like in a packet switch network. The internet has these packets of information that get sent, routed all over the global network. And that's what we can do with dirt. We can have these dirt cubes getting moved around the city that are growing different spices and herbs and all kinds of vegetables. I mean, obviously nothing very big because it's a small cube, but that's okay. Because the cubes, this is why it's compost cube. It can get composted. So you can take this cube, grow a little seedling in it, and when it gets big, it'll just eat the side, it'll eat through the cardboard. Ultimately, we also want to be shredding the cardboard and composting the cardboard and upcycling it, turning into other stuff. All right, so let's go back, because that's what we're all about here. We're about southbroadway.art. We're trying, here's southbroadway.net. They're all the same. They really are all the same. But okay, scroll down. There's Compost Cube. And here's a link to the artist, who is sort of the caretaker of this page. And a link to southplat.net, so we're connected to other parts of the network. But now we're going to start messing around with Fork. This is where things are going to get a little weird. So I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to say southbroadway.art. One thing I did at the other South Broadway art instance is that you can have places. So like, all right, let's take Bardo. I'm going to make Bardo. So I click on MKK. So there's a sequence. Everything I'm doing here is just clicking on links and everything is done from inside the web browser. Again, there's no logins, there's no passwords, there's none of this stuff. I just click on here. Replicator.php is a PHP script that goes and grabs a bunch of files. So everything, again, with the self-replication. So I'm trying to make self-replicating physical media, but also And here we are again, Trash Magic Recursive Web. But if you look at the browser bar, it says southbroadway.art/Bardo. So I'm going to go down to Web Page Editor, and I'm going to go down to H1 is a header, and I'm going to say Bardo Coffee Shop on South Broadway. Quest. Find web developers who work out of Bardo and share this page with them using self-replicating media made from trash. Help encourage them to share and share along over and over to get the whole web developer community who use Bardo to work on their web stuff to create a world of trash magic on these servers and to build more servers and more trash magic dumps to link to. So I should say something about the dump. You know, they talk about the cloud and the internet, and the cloud's just a metaphor. People say cloud, they don't mean water vapor suspended in the atmosphere. They mean a bunch of privately owned computers in a big building. When I say dump, I mean a pile of trash. Because that's what this is. This is a pile of trash. I live in a pile of trash, and you could live in a pile of trash too. And that's what the dump is. It's very literal. It's not a metaphor. The magic dump is just a place where you keep your computers. I really believe that the future of tech is gathering dust in people's closets. So, all right, we went down. All right, so I'm going to go back home. And now it says Trash Magic Recursive Web, Bardo, Coffee Shop, and blah, blah, blah. There's a little, we added a little mission here, or quest, if you will. I can go back up, and now I'm back at the main South Broadway.art Trash Magic server quest. So now I'm going to go back to the web page editor, and I'm going to add a link, ahref equals Bardo /. The slash tells the computer that that's a directory. Bardo quest. All right, so then I'm going to go home, Bardo, and then here we go. All right, so let's. I'm going to make another quest. I'm going to make it because I love South Broadway. That's why I got the other domain on South Broadway. I'm all about this. So I'm going to say mutiny. We're going to make a mutiny quest. So I'm going to move in here. Now, I'm choosing to make forks. You can also make new HTML files. There's different ways to do this. This is an extremely flexible system. Part of why it's hard to articulate all this stuff is the system is so flexible. There's just sort of too much going on to really summarize. I'm already over 20 minutes into this spiel, and I'm like barely scratching the surface of the system. So I'm going to go down here, Trash Magic. Yeah, you know what that is. You've already seen this. We've all seen this, but that's okay. Repetition is how life works. We have a huge number of cells in our body. Every cell has a whole lot of DNA in it. It's the same DNA. It's the same genome. So like, we need to, I think, rethink the level of redundancy we have in our system. So here we go. Mutiny Information Cafe Trash Magic Quests. So now we're going to say publish a zine about trash magic and distribute it at Mutiny physically and send copies to the operator at sloanslake.art. Email operator at sloanslake.art. And yes, that will work. That is, in fact, me. You can send me PDFs or Words or whatever, and I'll stick it up there, and then I'll post a link to the PDF right here. But I can also print it out, and I can ride my bicycle over to Mutiny Information Cafe and just hand them the frickin' zine. I can just stick the zine at the counter, but anybody else can do that too. That's how it's self-replicating. So zine about trash magic, publish whatever zines you want. I'm sure they have some zines there, whatever. But this I hope gives a little bit of a feel for it. So now I'm gonna go back home, and then I'm gonna go up a level. I'm gonna this web page editor. Gonna go add a link. Bardo Quest. Mutiny Information Cafe Quest. Right, they've got coffee and burritos and stuff too, so that's cool. And here we are. It's pretty simple. But all right, I'm gonna go up a level, and I'm gonna say fork, and then I'm gonna make a new Mos Eisley Spaceport. All right, so now I'm gonna make Mos Eisley Spaceport, which I might have spelled wrong. And I'm going to demonstrate another aspect of this system, which is destruction. That which we create, we destroy. This is so important. It is extremely important. This is, again, part of how, if we're going to have these systems where people aren't logging in and stuff, and it's all just like a bunch of anarchy, anybody just logging in willy-nilly and hacking on the thing, you have to authorize everybody to also be able to delete things. And then sometimes people are just going to come in and they're just going to delete everything. They're just going to be like, you know what, I'm setting everything on fire. So I'm going to go to this thing called Fork Destroyer. Oh, no, that's wrong. I'm going to go up a level. Sorry, southbroadway.art. I'm already lost. Okay, fork. All right, southbroadway.art. I'm looking down here, and then I've got Bardo, Mos Eisley Spaceport, and Mutiny. But I also have something called the Fork Destroyer. And so, again, this is danger zone. There's no undo. If I delete this, it's gone forever. Now, Mos Eisley Spaceport is a wretched hive of scum and villainy. So I'm going to delete it. It's gone. I do Control R, it's gone. Now, the other thing you notice when I do Control R is that I have this library that does all of this rainbow stuff. So a big part of what trash magic is a bunch of things. It's an idea, it's a philosophy, it's a bunch of books. But it's also kind of a little bit of a software framework. So I'm going to show you a little bit about how that works going into the code again. So I go back to southbroadway.art/webeditor.html, and I scroll down, and you see there's two things here. There's JS code /trashmagic.js, and there's CSS /trashmagic.css. And I actually can't edit either one of these from this editor, so I'm going to go back home, and I'm going to scroll down. Somewhere in here is going to be the system code editor. The system code editor, I click on here, and now I can go to JS code trashmagic.js. And this is a little JavaScript library that does whimsical insanity. So like it has a function called googly eyes n, where n is the number of googly eyes that it's going to apply. And that's exactly what it does. So if I go back to index.html and I scroll down, I commented out googly eyes. I'm going to uncomment googly eyes. And I'm going to increase the number of googly eyes to 20 because I want more googly eyes. When I go back to, there's googly eyes all over the place. I have deployed the googly eyes. That's part of how this works. It's like extremely whimsical. Everything is self-replicating. Everything is very simple. And everything is just right out there where you can see it and you can edit it and you can evolve it. This style is going to evolve. When we start to get web developers engaged in this, they're going to look at this and they're going to say, well, okay, this is some of the most crude, primitive CSS I've ever seen. I go to trashmagic.css. There's a bunch of stuff here. And somebody who's a web developer is going to look at this and they're going to be like, oh, geez, you're using M and PX. You're mixing up all these units. Oh, my God. And then they're going to fix it. Right? Like, that's the trick. That's why these networks are made of people and not technology. If we can find the right people, they're going to make all this awesome. They're going to go to the PHP. They're going to make it more awesome. You can do Python with this. This is all running on a Raspberry Pi. We can do Python. That's how we're going to talk to psychedelic mushrooms. I'll talk about that later. But go back to index. And so that's a little bit of a tour. I'm at 30 minutes now. I probably should stop, but I hope that gives you a little bit of an idea of what all of this is for and how it links together. I want to just maybe say a little bit more about the self-replicating objects, because that's really what this is about. So rhombi.xyz, I make these rhombi, like it says. A rhombus is a shape that's like a parallelogram where all of these things are equal, and these are very special ones that are used for Penrose tiles. It doesn't matter. I make these out of cardboard. But I want to talk about my free pants, because the free pants are another Trash Magic product that I think really illustrates the whole idea. So I found these pants on the side of a bike trail in Denver. If you wander around Denver for hours and hours, you'll just see pants. This is the fruits of our consumer society, is that there's just a constant stream of pants being distributed on the streets of Denver. And so you can pick these pants up and you can wash them. In fact, you have to wash them. It's extremely important that you wash them. They have funny smells, these pants from the streets of Colfax. And then you can copy this exactly. You just cut out FREEPANTS. You keep the maximalist. It's all a consistent structure. So here you're using felt and scissors and a sewing machine to do the same thing that I just showed with JavaScript and CSS in the previous thing. So then you take that and you sew it onto your pants, and then you put your pants on, and then you make another one and you put that in the pocket of the pants. So you have another set of letters that you put in the pocket of the pants, and then you take this QR code, you print it out, you cut one of these off, and you put it on a piece of cardboard that describes this, that you also carry in the pocket, and then your pants are self-replicating. Because people say, what is the deal with those pants? Do you have pants that say pants on them? Somebody said that to me today. And I said, well, yes, I do have pants that say pants on them. They're free pants. And then I just handed that person the materials to make another pair of pants along with a cube. So now they're hopefully linked to the dirt web. We'll see. But, the thing about self-replicating pants is that all you have to do is get the R number greater than 1. It's like any other virus. If you get the R number greater than 1, if I run around and I see like hundreds of people and they all think, man, look at that weirdo. I cannot believe somebody went to the grocery store wearing pants like that. And then one person says, tell me about those pants. And then they copy the pants. And then they have even more friends. They go into some space that has a higher R number, where they're like, whoa, that's really cool, man. I want to make some pants. And then it replicates again. And then there's more pants. And then, you get this to the right neighborhood or the right city with the right people and the right sources of pants, and you can have an explosion of pants. And the same thing is true if I go up a level and I go back to the compost cube. It's the same thing. There's no inhibition to replication here. The web thing doesn't even matter. Like, somebody can change this design too. Like, there's all kinds of ways. I want to communicate the idea of making cubes out of cardboard and putting dirt in them and then moving them around the city and putting QR codes on them. I want to communicate that idea, and I want to get it started, and then it's going to evolve. And if we evolve it with intent, then we can use it to build this new civilization. So that's about as far as, I feel like I've already made this video way longer than it should, so I'm just going to cut it off and upload it to YouTube, and maybe that will make some kind of sense out of this. And please, just hack on this thing. It doesn't matter. Let me show you another thing. I want to show you one more thing about this. Okay, so southbroadway.art. Let's say I really mess this up. So I'm actually going to go down here and I'm going to do control. I'm going to go like that. And then I'm going to go and but LOL. Here comes the Raffle Copter. You has been hacked. Sword. All right, so now we got hacked. That's it. I got hacked. What am I going to do? I got hacked. Oh, no. All right, so now I go back and I do replicator.php, and I'm just going to run the replicator again. And so now what it's doing is it's actually copying all of the code from a centralized repository on GitHub, but I could copy it from any one of the other Trash Magic servers in the world. That's the magic of the web. Everything on the web can see everything else on the web, unless you're in some walled garden dark web like Facebook. And now we're back. Trash Magic versus Web. I'm back to where I was, but I actually took the old version of the website and I put it in the clipboard so I can just Control V that, and now we're back, just like that, right? So I destroyed it. We got hacksorted. If you ever get in some situation where you're like, oh, geez, I've taken too many turns, I've made too many edits, I broke all my JavaScript, you can just do replicator.php. You have stuff that's precious to you that you don't want people to nuke from orbit. Back it up. And the way you back it up is with replication. You can replicate the code from any one server to any other server. You can use GitHub to replicate it. You can, I'll show that in another video, how to do the GitHub. But I think that basically gives you the general idea about quests. These quests can get much more adventure-y. That's part of why I like to have the dungeon synth going in the background to get that mood of adventure. The idea that the Bardo quest might have a fork where, you know, out back alley or something. So you might have like, I might go down into the fork and then have Bardo, and then back alley, and then in back alley I'm going to have dumpster, and then in dumpster I'm going to have secret rat house that lives underneath the dumpster, and then there's going to be a subset from that. So I'm going to say back alley, and then I'm going to say dumpster. So, you know, this is why in my code I always say everything is recursive, everything is fractal. This is a fractal. southbroadway.net /Bardo /back alley /dumpster. And it just keeps going. And so you can build whole worlds. That's why it says, and you know, again, it's copying over and over and over. The recursive web is made of worlds and quests. So the quests are the actions, but the worlds are worlds that we build. And it is my claim in all of this work that it doesn't take much to build a world. It doesn't take virtual reality, augmented reality, 3 dimensions, headsets, all this kind of stuff. Just words and ideas is enough to build a world. You know, I can build up a whole world. So, you know, Bardo, back alley, dumpster, tiny rat house under dumpster. And I keep going, you know, who cares? And I can delete this at any time. I gotta cut it off there. I've already gone way too rambly, but hopefully this gets people started. Share this link with who you want. If this gets shared with bad actors and they start doing nefarious hacking, I can just unplug my Raspberry Pi that's running headless mode or any one of my trash servers. Like, it's all very low stakes and low bandwidth. You know, I don't care. Share it. Hack it up. Go nuts. Try stuff. And then tell me about it. And let's make Trash Magic a reality.